Vasudevaaya. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirai nashtaprayeshu badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Dadupmaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Adhyanatimidandasya Jnananjanashkaya Chakshurum Militam Vena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauritse Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Krupesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwavanusate Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakalpataru Viskripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yes, we can continue sharing. Okay, we'll continue. Yesterday we discussed till which sloka?
19 done, Prabhuji. 20 to start.
19, yeah. Today we'll try to. The further slokas are very, very small, and purports are also very less and very less technical. Already, what all wise devotees have discussed in 4 years, same topic will be discussed. 19 we finished. So just to sum up, 6 questions: Jnanam, Geyam, Purusha, Prakriti, Kshetra, Kshetragya. Kshetra is the body, Kshetragya is soul and super soul. Jnanam, to know that matter, spirit, control of the both is knowledge. And the process of knowledge is 13.8 to 13.12. Amanitvam, Adamvitvam, 20 items of knowledge. In that, the main heart of knowledge is Mai Chananya Yogena Bhakti Vicharini. And one should understand Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. And after seeing that, yesterday we saw from 13 onwards, the discussion after the knowing Jnanam, then there is Geyam. What is Geyam? Soul and super soul. And what is soul? What are the nature of the soul? What is super soul? What is the nature of the super soul? All those we discussed yesterday. Today we'll be seeing the fifth and sixth. You have shared the screen? Yes. Fifth and sixth is Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidhi Anadi Ubam Api. Sloka number 20. Vikaramascha Gunamschaiva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. So Prakriti is material nature, Purusha living entities, Cha also, Eva certainly, Vidhi you must know, Anadi without beginning, Bhau both, Api also, Vikaran transformation, Cha also, Gunan the three modes of nature, Cha also, Eva certainly, Vidhi no, Prakriti material nature, Sambhavan produced of. Material nature and the living entity should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformation and the modes of material matter are products of material nature. So Prakritim Purusham. So Prakriti is a material nature. Purusham is 20, 21, 22 will speak about soul as a Purusha. And 23, 24, 25, something like that, 26 will speak about super soul. 25 will speak as super soul as a Purusha. Okay, someone can read the purport, first paragraph. Quickly, we want to wind up this chapter today.
By the knowledge given in this chapter, one can understand the body, the field of activities, and the knower of the body, both the individual soul and the super soul. The body is the field of activity and is composed of material nature. The individual soul that is embodied and enjoying the activities of the body is the Purusha, or the living entity. He is one knower, and the other is super soul. Of course, it is to be understood that both super soul and the individual entity are different manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The living entity is in the category of his energy, and the super soul is in the category of his personal expansion.
Yeah, this is very important line. You can underline this. Jivatma is category of Shakti, Tatasya Shakti. But super soul is expansion. It is Vistar. It's expansion. Vistarit. Hmm? Yes. The second paragraph, somebody can read. This is very clear, na? Yeah. Therefore, I'm telling this section from 21, 20 to 35 is very, very simple. Yeah. Quickly. Second chapter, paragraph.
Both material nature and living entity are eternal. That is to say that they existed before the creation. The material manifestation is from the energy of Supreme Lord, and so also are the living entities. But the living entities are the superior energy. Both the living entity and material nature existed before this cosmos was manifested. Material nature was absorbed in Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mahavishnu, and when it was required, it was manifested by the agency of the Mahatattva. Similarly, the living entity are also in him, and because they are conditioned, they are averse or to serving Supreme Lord. Thus, they are not allowed to enter into spiritual sky. But with the coming forth of material nature, these living entity are again given a chance to act in the material world and prepare themselves to enter into spiritual world. That is the mystery of this material creation. Actually, the living entity is originally the spiritual part and parcel of Supreme Lord. But due to his rebellious nature, he is conditioned within this material nature. It really does not matter how it really does not really matter how these living entities or superior entities of Supreme Lord have came in contact with material nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead knows, however, how and why this actually took place. In the scriptures, the Lord says that those attracted by the material nature are undergoing a hard struggle for existence. But we should know with certainty from the description of these few verses that all transformation and influence of material nature by three modes are also production of material nature. All transformation and variety in respect to living entity are due to the body. As far as spirit is concerned, the living entities are all the same.
Yeah. So this is also speaking about that Yat Vikari from the 13.5 transformations. So the shloka is also speaking about that. Next shloka. कार्यकारणं कर्तृत्वे हेतु प्रकृतिरुच्यते पुरुष सुखदुःखानां भोक्तृत्वे हेतुरुच्यते. So the previous shloka spoke about a living entity and nature. They are eternal before the creation. So now, what is the nature of the material nature? What is the nature of the living entity? Who is responsible for one's own suffering? So Purusha, Sukha Dukkhanam. So living entity is responsible for one's own happiness, distress. Karya Karana Kartrutve. Every day sun is rising, sun is setting, seasons are changing. Cause and effect. The material nature is responsible for the cause and effect. So same day, today, will be good for somebody, but will be bad for somebody. One team will win, another team will lose. So who is responsible? Jivatma is responsible. So the nature is same. Cause and effect is happening. But because of Jivatma's previous past life karma, so he is enjoying suffering and enjoyment in this world. That will be more elaborate discussed in next shloka. Karya of the effect, karana and cause, kritrutve in the matter of creation, hetu the instrument, prakriti material nature, uchyate is said to be. Purusha the living entity, sukha of happiness, dukkhanam and distress, bhoktrutve in enjoyment, hetu the instrument, uchyate is said. So nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects. What is the material cause and effects? The way the material world is working. The creation, maintenance, destruction. Whereas the living entity is a cause of various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. Basically, the maintenance part, cause and effect. Sun is rising, sun is setting, seasons are changing, rain is coming, winter is coming. These are called as cause and effect. But the Jivatma is responsible for the sufferings and enjoyments. Anywhere, if you have any questions now, you can pause me if I'm going fast. But what I felt is these things already we all have studied in our Positive Thinker Bhagavad Gita, uh, Proactive Leader, and Self Manager. Somebody can read this first paragraph.
The different manifestations of body and senses among the living entities are due to material nature. There are 84 lakh species of life, and these varieties are creations of the material nature. They arise from the different sensual pleasures of the living entity, who thus desire to live in this body or that.
Okay, what is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is based on the desire of the living entity to enjoy. The bodies are tailor-made, evolving towards perfection, positive thinker. This is being told here. Yes. Word rules. When is put
When
into.
he is put into different bodies, he enjoys different kind of happiness and distress. His material happiness and distress are due to the body and not to himself as he is. In his original state, there is no doubt of enjoyment. Therefore, that is his real state. Because of the desire to lord over the material nature, he is in the material world. In the spiritual world, there is no such thing. The spiritual world is pure, but in the material world, everyone is struggling hard to acquire different kinds of pleasure for the body. It might be more clear to say that this body is the effect of the senses. The senses are instruments for gratifying desires. Now, the sum total, body and instrument senses, are offered by material nature, and as we will be clear in the next verse, the living entity is blessed or damned with circumstances according to his past desire and activity.
Okay.
According
What
to
Prabhupada is based on his previous actions, karma, prarabdha, desire and desire. That much freedom he gets here, free will he gets here. Yes. But this is nothing to do with bhakti. Yes. Continue, Prabhu.
According to one's desire and activity, material nature places one in various residential quarters. The being himself is the cause of his attaining such residential quarters and his attendant enjoyment or suffering. Once placed in some particular type kind of body, he comes under the control of the nature because the body, being matter, acts according to the laws of nature. At that time, the living entity has no power to change that law. Suppose an entity is put into a body of dog. As soon as he is put into the body of a dog, he must act like a dog. He cannot act otherwise. And if the living entity is put into the body of a hog, then he is forced to eat stool and act like a hog. Similarly, if the living entity is put into the body of a demigod, he must act according to his body. That is the law of nature. But in all circumstances, the super soul is with the individual soul. That is explained in the Vedas, Mundaka Upanishad 3.1.1 as follows. Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhya. The Supreme Lord is so kind upon the living entity that he always accompanies the individual soul and in all circumstances is present as a super soul or Paramatma.
Yeah. So here this one point is very important. Prabhupada is writing here that once this living entity has no power to change the law. Once placed in some particular kind of body, he comes under the control of the nature because the body, being matter, acts according to the laws of nature. Most of the times, we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're reading Prabhupada books. That is at the level of soul. But the body has its own needs, trying to control the senses, or trying to get a particular job, and all these things. These are the functions of the body. So once, according to one's past karma, one gets one's body, it takes time to change the effect of that because it is what Prabhupada is writing here, has no power to change that law. At the time, the living entity has no power to change that law. Why? Because it is being matter. Like what is matter? If you throw up the matter ball, it will come down. Similarly, if you go and jump up from the terrace, you'll fall down and break your leg. That is what the law of matter is. You can't tell, I'll jump up from the terrace and tell Hare Krishna and Krishna will protect me like Prahlad Maharaj. That is possible, but for that, one has to be like Prahlad Maharaj. So similarly, at our stage, trying to chant Hare Krishna and trying to do our sadhana bhakti and trying to expect that Narsimha should come and protect us like Prahlad Maharaj. Yeah, that dependence should be there, but one cannot expect, one should not become depressed if that doesn't happen. That is Kripa Siddha. But Sadhana Siddha is one understands that his body is under the control of the matter and it is subject to the nature. And based on my past karma, particular traits are there, particular patterns are there, particular responses are there, particular thought process is there, and I cannot change it. But one has to be conscious after getting the body. At least after coming to Krishna consciousness, one has to become aware of one's responses. What is one's ego? So that one can rise above Rajoguna, Tamoguna and come to Satvaguna. That is Satvaguna. And then one continues practicing bhakti and chanting can purify our heart. Chanting can correct our relationship with Krishna. And time to come, the body will continue till the end of the life. So one cannot change the nature of the matter. Yes, Prabhu. Next shloka. Purusha Prakritisto hi bhungte Prakritijan gunan karanam gunasangasya sad asadyoni janmasu. So how the living entity gets different bodies is being spoken here. This is the crux of the section of Purusha Prakriti. Jivatma, how he enjoys Purusha Prakriti. Purusha is Jivatma, living entity. Prakritista, being situated in the material energy. He certainly, Bhungte, enjoys Prakritijan, produced by the material nature, Gunan, the modes of nature, Karanam, the cause, Gunasanga, it gets different bodies based on the association of the modes of nature, Asya, of the living entity, Sat, Asat, good and bad, Yoni, species of life, Janmasu, in births. The living entity in material nature as follows, thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species. Sometimes when you get up, we feel like we should not chant. Sometimes when you get up, we should feel like we should sleep. Sometimes when you get up, we feel we are hungry, very hungry. And some based on the modes what we associate with regularly, that is what happens after 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. And by the time we die, according to that modes, we get another body. If we completely transcend the three modes, then surely we'll go to spiritual world. If you have not yet, no surprise, another life like Jada and we should not be shocked by it. That is what this shloka is telling. Yes, somebody can read this first paragraph.
This verse is very important for an understanding of how the living entities transmigrate from one body to another. It is explained in the second chapter that the living entity is transmigrating from one body to another just as one changes dress. This change of dress is due to his attachment to material existence. As long as he is captivated by this false manifestation, he has to continue transmigrating from one body to another. Due to his desire to lord it over material nature, he is put into such undesirable circumstances. Under the influence of material desire, the entity is born sometime as a demigod, sometime as a man, sometime as a beast, as a bird, as a worm, as an aquatic, as a saintly man, as a bug. This is going on, and in all cases, the living entity thinks himself to be the master of his circumstances, yet he is under the influence of material nature.
Yes, basically, based on desire to lord it over material nature, we attract undesirable circumstances. The degree we want to lead, to the degree we want to dominate others, to the degree we say my way is the highway, have strong perception about the thing around us. We see, when we see others, we are able to see the faults. That seeing all those fault is also a fault. So basically, what is the meaning is rather than seeing outside, let us become introspective sage. Rather being extrovertive speaker, let us become an introspective sage and try to see what is my what is the how is that I process life. When I get up in the morning, when I come to the temple hall, what I am doing? Am I more concerned with chanting Hare Krishna, or I am more concerned with seeing who is sleeping, who is not sleeping? Am I concerned with seeing who is following an etiquette, or I'm concerned following how much etiquette I'm following? So basically, our life, we have control over our decisions, our responses, our practice. 100% our life is in our control. But what Jivatma does is that, except his life, he wants to control all others' life. That is the problem. Because of that, he attracts different species. So what this shloka says is that rather than trying to become controller of other lives, especially when you start preaching also, become bothered about so much about the first year boy or the second year boy or third year boy. It's fine to some extent. We observe him, make a report, send it to seniors. After that, be detached. But what about our own life? What about our own chanting? What about our own reading? What about our own contemplation? So we end up so much micromanaging or trying to find faults in so much that we are not able to relate with Vaishnavas so nicely. So therefore, one has to be very, very careful that understand that the main important project for me is my own chanting, my own practice of bhakti. When one does that, then the real magic starts. Because I have to fly my own aircraft. Okay, you distribute 10,000, 1 lakh books, fine. You open 10 centers of voice, fine. But at the end of the life, if you are not able to sit and chant Hare Krishna without withdrawing, the way Bhishma Pitama withdrawed all his senses and focus on Krishna, then again, we have to come. Again, you have to take birth in this material world. So, the purpose is not that you should not preach. The purpose is not that you should not manage. The purpose is we should become detached preachers. We should become detached managers, in the sense that when we are doing it, we do it as service. We should become servant leaders, not master leaders. Okay. Otherwise, we'll end up with this shloka. Yes, somebody can read the second paragraph.
How he is put into such different bodies is explained here. It is due to association with the different modes of nature. One has to rise, therefore, above the three material modes and become situated in the transcendental position. That is called Krishna consciousness. Unless one is situated in Krishna consciousness, his material consciousness will oblige him to transfer from one body to another because he has material desires since time immemorial. But he has to change that conception. That change can be affected only by hearing from authoritative sources. The best example is here. Arjuna is hearing the science of God from Krishna. The living entity, if he submits to his hearing, to this hearing process, will lose his long cherished desire to dominate material nature, and gradually and proportionately, as he reduces his long desire to dominate, he comes to enjoy spiritual happiness. In the Vedic mantra, it is said that as he becomes learned in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he proportionately relishes his eternal blissful life.
Yes. So solution is we have to do Shravanam, Takshunu. And Shravanam means also reading Prabhupada books. Hearing also means reading Prabhupada books and trying to read different, like attending courses with Bhakti Shastri and other things. This is an ongoing process. It's not that, okay, we did Bhakti Shastri and then done. We have to have our own reading, our own hearing, and our own sadhana process. So by getting in touch with the spiritual subjects, we can try to transcend modes. So this switch should be 24/7 on. Before sleeping, contemplate on shloka and sleep. When we wake up, contemplate on the shloka. When we are in the bathroom, contemplate on the shloka. But they should continuously go on. And other things. But right now, what we are absorbed in, whatever is presently misery is going on in your life, some success is going on in your life, we are absorbed in that. Oh, this camp is going to come now. Yeah, surely it's going to come now. But yes, we will do our part and leave the rest to Krishna. This exam is going, this interview is coming, all that absorption will be there. But one has to detach oneself from all those. For preaching application, those people who are completely leading a life of tamoguna, rajoguna, who are nothing, they are not offering boga, they're eating everything outside, they are enjoying, they're drinking, they are smoking. For them, they have to give up their habits and come to the point of taking Krishna consciousness. This is preaching application. For personal application of those who are devotees, while trying to practice bhakti, while doing different services, they should try to eliminate the element of tamoguna, rajoguna by becoming more aware of one's nature, by becoming connected to Krishna conscious through reading, hearing, and chanting. So that is what this three shloka spoke about. So next, now this 23rd shloka speaks about the Purusha as Paramatma. उपदृष्टा अनुमन्ता च भर्ता भोक्ता महेश्वर परमात्मेति चापि उक्तो देहस्मिन् पुरुषः परः उपदृष्टा overseer anumanta permitter cha also bharta master bhokta supreme enjoyer mahashvarah the supreme lord paramatma the super soul iti also cha and api indeed yukta is said dehe the body asmin this purusha enjoyer parah transcendental. So parama atma mahashvara, these two words indicate that this is not soul, this is super soul, the representative of the Bhagavan. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as a overseer and permitter, and who is known as a super soul. So now super soul is coming into the picture. Yes, somebody can read the purport.
It is said here that the super soul who is always with the individual soul is the representation of the Supreme Lord. He is not an ordinary living entity. Because the monist philosopher take the knower of the body to be one, they think that there is no difference between the super soul and the individual soul. To clarify this, the Lord says that he is represented as the Paramatma in every body. He is different from the individual soul. He is para, transcendental. The individual soul enjoys the activities of a particular field, but the super soul is present not as a finite enjoyer, nor as one taking part in bodily activities, but as the witness, overseer, permitter, and supreme enjoyer. His name is Paramatma, not Atma, and he is transcendental. It is distinctly clear that the Atma and Paramatma are different. The super soul, the Paramatma, has legs and hands everywhere, but the individual soul does not. And because the Paramatma is the Supreme Lord, he is present within to sanction the individual soul's desiring material enjoyment. Without the sanction of the Supreme Soul, the individual soul cannot do anything. The individual is Bhukta or the sustained, and the Lord is Bhokta or the maintainer. There are innumerable living entities, and he is staying in them as a friend.
Yes. Basically, this is para, super soul, supreme lord. Yes, somebody else can read the next paragraph.
The fact is that every individual living entity is eternally part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and both of them are very intimately related as friends. But the living entity has the tendency to reject the sanction of the Supreme Lord and act independently in an attempt to dominate nature. And because he has this tendency, he is called the marginal energy of the Supreme Lord. The living entity can be situated either in the material energy or in the spiritual energy. As long as he is conditioned by the material energy, the Supreme Lord, as his friend, the Super Soul, stays with him just to get him to return to the spiritual energy. The Lord is always eager to take him back to the spiritual energy, but due to his minute independence, the individual entity is continually rejecting the association of the spiritual light. This misuse of independence is the cause of his material strife in the conditioned nature. The Lord, therefore, is always giving instruction from within and from without. From without, he gives instructions as stated in Bhagavad Gita, and from within, he tries to convince the living entity that his activities in the material field are not conducive to real happiness. Just give it up and turn your faith toward me. Then you will be happy, he says. Thus, the intelligent person who places his faith in the Paramatma or the Supreme Personality of Godhead begins to advance toward a blissful eternal life of knowledge.
Yes. So, Jivatma has a friend as Paramatma, but rather than seeing that friend, he is completely thinking of enjoying the material body. So, Karun Dwarkadeshwar asks a question that we have a thought process, but when we come to Krishna consciousness, our thought process changes. Can you throw some light on it? We can't change body. Yeah, we have 100 minutes time. We have 100 years of life. If we can change our thought process, then our body also can be changed. Because seed is like when you put a grain inside the soil, then it fructifies into a plant. So thought process is like a seed, and the body is like a plant. So in previous life, you have put the seed, the thought process. Therefore, you have got a particular body. So in this 100 years, whatever time we have, not 100 years means it's not guaranteed that we are staying 100 years. But in this lifetime, if you are able to change your thought process, then at the end of this life, we can change our body. एवं व्यक्ति पुरुषं प्रकृतिं च गुणैः सह सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि न सा भूयो विजायते. Yeah means anyone who evam tas Vyakti understands Purusham, the living entity, Prakriti, material nature, and Gunai, the modes of nature, Saha, with Sarvata, in all ways, Vartmana, being situated, Api, in spite, Na, never, Sa, he, Bhuya, again, Abhijayate, takes his birth. So Krishna is telling here, one who understands this philosophy concerning the nature, Prakriti, the living entity, the Jiva, and the interaction of the modes of nature, that is three modes, Guna, is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of this present body. What will happen is, in every activity, he will try to observe himself, become aware. What mode I'm triggering? Triggering Rajoguna, Tamoguna, Satvaguna. And we'll try to remove those parts of Tamoguna and Rajoguna and try to come to Satvaguna. And in that Satvaguna, he'll start chanting, reading, hearing. And when he does, it suddenly will not happen immediately. If somebody has done the past life, for some people on Satvaguna, it becomes easy for them. But those who are in Rajoguna and Tamoguna, they have to really become very self-aware and observe the patterns and try to uh, think how to act and try to sleep early, wake up early, see the eating habits, regularity, discipline. So by this one can come to Satvaguna very easily. Someone can read this, a small purport. So what is the result of understanding these three, nature, enjoyer, and consciousness? That is being told here. Purusha, Prakriti, and Guna. Yes, Prabhu, please read.
Clear understanding of material nature, the supersoul, the individual soul, and their interrelation makes one obliged to become liberated and turn to the spiritual atmosphere without being forced to return to this material nature. This is the result of the purpose of knowledge is to understand
Purpose.
The purpose of knowledge is to understand distinctly that the living entity has by chance fallen into the material existence. By his personal endeavor in association with authorities, saintly persons, and the spiritual master, he has to understand his position and then revert to spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness by understanding Bhagavad Gita as it is explained by the personality of Godhead. Then it is certain that he will never come again into this material existence. He will be transferred into the spiritual world for a blissful eternal life of knowledge.
Okay. So next shloka. Prabhuji, why it has mentioned in the purpose of last purport that as long as the living entity is conditioned, the super soul stays with him, because with the liberated soul also super soul stays right now. Okay, here the conditioned and liberated is being mentioned as those are body. Because as soon as you get a body in the present world, as soon as you have a material body, super soul is present. As soon as you leave this material body and come back to Godhead, you don't have super soul. Okay? Yes, next look. So now, how one can pursue the super soul is told in 25-26. So we can pursue super soul by jnanena atmani pashyanti, keshid atmanam atmanah, अन्य सांख्येन योगेन कर्म योगेन चापरे. Dhyanena, by meditation, Atmani, within the self, Pashyanti, see, Kechit, some, Atmanam, the super soul, Atmana, by the mind, Anye, others, Sankhena, of the philosophical discussion, Yogena, by the yoga system, Karma Yogena, by the activities without fruitive desire, Cha, also, Apare, others. So, three types of people pursue super soul. Who are those? We are not those. No, it is not mentioning the people of Kali Yuga. This is mentioning the people of at least the Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, Satya Yuga. Some pursue super soul within themselves through meditation. Dhyanena Atmani Pashyanti, Dhyana Yoga. Others for cultivation of knowledge. This is Sankhya Yoga or Jnana Yoga. One is Dhyana, one is Jnana. And still others through working without fruitive desires. That is called as Varnashram, giving Nishkama Karma Yoga. But we are not able to do any of these things. Some pursue super soul through meditation, cultivation knowledge, still others through working without fruitive desires. Anytime we work, we have so much expectation, right? I have to get money. I'm preaching, I have to get result. All these things, right? So we don't fall in this category now. Neither we are dhyanis, neither we are jnanis, neither we are nishkama karma yogis. Yes. Someone get into the purport? Who can pursue super soul in the Vedic way is mentioned here.
The Lord informs Arjuna that the conditioned soul can be divided into two classes as far as man's self-realization is concerned. Those who are atheists, agnostic, and skeptics are beyond the sense of spiritual understanding. But there are others who are faithful in their understanding of spiritual life, and they are called introspective devotees, philosophers, and workers who have renounced fruitive results. Those who always try to establish the doctrine of monism are also counted among the atheists and agnostics. In other words, only the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are best suited to spiritual understanding, because we understand that beyond this material nature are the spiritual world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is expanded as the Paramatma, the super soul in everything, the all-pervading Godhead. Of course, there are those who try to understand the Supreme Absolute Truth by cultivation of knowledge, and they can be counted in the class of the faithful. The Sankhya philosophers analyze this material world with 24 elements and they place the individual soul as the 25th element. When they are able to understand the nature of the individual soul to be transcendental to the material element, they are able to understand also that above the individual soul there is a Supreme Personality of Power. He is the 26th element. Thus, gradually they also come to the standard of the devotion service in Krishna Consciousness.
Those who work without fruited results are also perfect in their attitude. They are given a chance to advance to the platform of devotional service in Krishna consciousness. Here it is stated that there are some people who are Krishna consciousness and who try to find out the super soul by meditation, and when they discover the super soul within themselves, they become confident in its creator. Similarly, there are others who also try to understand the supreme soul by cultivation of knowledge. And there are others who cultivate the Hatha Yoga system and who try to satisfy the supreme personality of Godhead by childish activity.
So Hatha here refers to trying to do some exercise for getting different bodily benefits. This is a somewhere in between Jnana Yoga and Dhyana Yoga, in between whatever that yoga, Rudha, that different asanas come, that is being told as Hatha Yoga in modern day world. But basically what this shloka is telling is the Jnanis, meditators, they are able to perceive the Lord in their heart. Jnanis, they are able to understand Lord by their jnana. And the karmi, matlab nishkama karma yogis, because of their ability to give up the fruits of the action, they can come one step close to understand. Because of their selflessness in giving up the fruits, they can come to the level of jnana, and from there they can proceed to dhyana. So there is a step 1, 2, 3, 4. Then they can understand. By giving up, they become selfless, and because of that they become accessible. The Paramatma become accessible to them. So can you imagine to be detached? By being detached, nishkama karma, they come to sattva, and because of that sattva they can pursue the Paramatma. And Jnanis, they're already in sattva, and because of their knowledge they can pursue Paramatma. And Dhyanis, they are able to meditate on him, and they're able to take his darshan, and because of that they are able to pursue. But what about those who are neither Gyanis and Nishkama Karma Yogis, but who are like very much attached to their fruits, especially the living entities like us in the Kali Yuga? What is the hope for them? That is probably next shloka. Anya tve evam ajanatah shutvanyebhya upasate tepi chatitarantyeva mrityum shruti parayanah. Anye tve vam janatah. That means what about others? Others too, but evam, thus ajanata, without spiritual knowledge, shutva, by hearing, anyabhya, from others, upasa, they begin to worship, te, api, also, cha, and atitaranti, transcend, eva, certainly, mrityum, the path of death, shruti parayana, inclined to the process of hearing. So in 21st shloka, Prabhupada spoke about hearing for the solution to that Okay, so we read the translation for this. I think I got disconnected. So till where we recited this shloka?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, we recited shloka. I told also connection, right? This is mentioning to all of us, the people of Kali Yuga. This I told. Okay, I not told this. Previous shloka, jnana, and nishkama karma was mentioned. But people of Kali Yuga who are not into any of those, you have no previous history of detachment, meditation, and knowledge, What about them? How they can pursue the Supreme Lord? Because we are so attached to fruits, right? We want to work, then we want job, we want salary at the end of our life, at the end of the month. Otherwise, we can't sustain. The same thing creeps in devotional service also. So how we can pursue Paramatma? So for us, this shloka is mentioned. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others because of their tendency to hear from authorities. They also transcend the path of birth and death. Yes, purport. Somebody can read the purport.
This verse is particularly applicable to modern society because in modern society, there is practically no education in spiritual matters. Some of the people may appear to be atheistic or agnostic or philosophical, but actually there is no knowledge of philosophy. As for the common man, if he is a good soul, then there is a chance for advancement by hearing. This hearing process is very important. Lord Chaitanya, who preached Krishna consciousness in the modern world, gave great stress to hearing because if a common man simply hears from authoritative sources, he can progress. Especially according to Lord Chaitanya, if he hears a transcendental vibration, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It is stated therefore that all men should take advantage of hearing from realized souls and gradually become able to understand everything. The worship of the Supreme Lord will then undoubtedly take place. Lord Chaitanya has said that in this age, no one needs to change his position, but one should give up the endeavor to understand the absolute truth by speculative reasoning. One should learn to become the servant of those who are in knowledge of Supreme Lord. If one is fortunate enough to take shelter of a pure devotee, hear from him about self-realization and follow in his footsteps, one will be gradually elevated to the position of a pure devotee. In this verse particularly, the process of hearing is strongly recommended, and this is very appropriate. Although the common man is often not as capable as so-called philosophers, faithful hearing from an authoritative person will help one transcend this material existence and go back to Godhead, back to home.
Yes. So therefore, here Prabhupada is saying one should learn to become the servant of those who are in knowledge. Basically, what happens when one hears, the sambandha becomes clear. I'm servant. Then abhidaya becomes clear. I have to chant. I have to do Navida Bhakti. Then provision becomes clear that I want to love Krishna. So even if one doesn't has a background of jnana and nishkama, but still, if he is having little eligibility, he is ready to accept, is ready to accept the instructions, are ready to hear, then he can go back home, back to Godhead. And this is applicable for all of us. Because when at least I am having not having a background of dhyana, at least I am not having a background of jnana, and neither I have a background in nishkam because I'm so attached to the fruits of results. So therefore, only solution for all of us is that we hear from authority source and try to serve under them as servants. Then we can give up the Lording of mentality, and then we can slowly come to the level of servant, and then we can be in that consciousness under this body, and so that we can go back home, back to God. So after telling this, uh, uh, Krishna now concludes 27 to 35. What he concludes about all Kshetra, Kshetragya, Jnanam, Geyam, Prakriti, Purusha from 27 to 35. Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam stavara jangamam kshetra kshetragya samayogat tadviddi bharatarshaba. So we'll directly go to the translation. O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. That means Kshetra and Kshetragya. Whatever we see in this material world, this is what it is, Krishna is saying. Somebody can read this purport? Small purport.
Purport, both material nature and living entity which were existing before the creation of the cosmos are explained in this verse. Whatever is created is but a combination of living entity and material nature. There are many manifestations like trees, mountain, and hills which are not moving, and there are many existing which are moving, and all them are but a combination of the material nature and the superior nature, the living entity. Without the touch of the superior nature, the living entity, nothing can grow. The relationship between matter and nature is eternally going on. and this combination is affected by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is the control of the both superior and inferior nature. The material nature is created by him, and the superior nature is placed in this material nature, and thus these activity and manifestations are take place.
Yeah, whenever you go out now for your work, or when you sit in the center, if you're a student, whatever you're doing, anything you see around is nothing but two things: material, matter, and spirit in that. And who has placed that? Karmana Dayama Nityena, the Lord has placed it. And this is what the whole world material consists of. Kshetra, Kshetragya. This is a Jnana Chakshu. Krishna is giving Jnana Chakshu now. How? After getting this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, how one should be detached worker. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtam tam parameshwaram विनश्यते स्वाविन अविन्यशंतम yapashyati shapashyati. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all the bodies. Now, previous verse, now everything around is made up of matter, prakriti, and jivatma in it. And also one more element has to be added is not only does all the bodies, whether moving, non-moving, whether a fountain, whether a tree, whether ant, they are moving, non-moving, they have a they have a soul. But along with that, if somebody is able to see that super soul is also sitting in them, along with them, now understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed. Actually, sees the body is destroyed, but the super soul and soul is never destroyed. So is this actually sees. He's actual seer. This is what is Dhyan Chakshu. Somebody can read the purport?
Anyone who, by good association, can see three things combined together: the body, the proprietor of the body, or individual soul, and the friend of the individual soul, is actually in knowledge. Unless
Who
one
is the
has
friend of the
the
individual soul? Super soul. So body, the proprietor of the body, or the individual soul, the Kshetra, Kshetragya, and the friend of the individual soul is super soul. Yes. Please continue, Prabhu. No issue.
unless one has the association of a real knower of spiritual subjects, one cannot see these three things. Those who do not have such association are ignorant. They simply see the body and they think that when the body is destroyed, everything is finished. But actually, it is not so. After the destruction of the body, both the soul and the super soul exist, and they go on eternally in various moving and non-moving forms. The Sanskrit word Parameshwara is sometimes translated as an individual soul, because the soul is the master of the body, and after the destruction of the body, he transfers to another form. In that way, he is master. But there are others who interpret this Parameshwara to be the super soul. In either case, both the super soul and individual soul continue. They are not destroyed. One who can see in this way can actually see what is happening.
Yeah, so in this Prabhupada using the Parameshwara mentioned here as may refer to both the soul and the super soul because they don't die. Here the text and context is that soul and super soul are eternal, but the body is temporary. So one should be able to see everything around, soul inside them, and with them the super soul is sitting, and both are eternal and they don't culminate or die with the body or with nature, material nature. Next shloka. So next shloka speaks about the same vision again. Shastra Chakshu. Samam pashyam hi sarvatra samavasthitam ishwaram na hinnasti atmanatmanam tato yati param jagatim. One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere, in every living being, does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination. Like once, I think you have seen this Mahavatar Narasimha, and there Prahlad Maharaj asks to Lord, when he falls into that ocean, and give me that vision. I can see you everywhere. And immediately start seeing super soul everywhere, in trees, in heart, everywhere is able to see. And therefore he is able to perceive that this is Lord's creation. This is Lord's stamp is there. Lord's signature is there. Similarly, anything we see in this world, when we are walking in this world, we should be able to see that whether it is matter, present, whether it is living, what we see is external feature of Maya. But student, when you become Bhakti Shastri, when you see to Shastrakshu, you should be able to see this as soul and it's being guided with super soul, and it also has its karma, and based on this karma, it has gotten this body, this particular face cut, this particular activities, this particular the way of its responding. So let me not try to control it, but let me try to understand my own understanding self and try to use this Shastra Chakshu to remain detached from this matter and not degrade myself. So one who sees super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination. So the thing is, if you have a road and there is no obstacle, immediately we can reach. Like you want to go from Pune to Mumbai for Maharaj's class, to Chowpatty or to Juhu. If there is no traffic, you can reach in 2 hours. If there is traffic, you can reach in 5 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours, one day. Similarly, the obstacle for us is we see ये संस्पर्श च भोगा दुःख योने एवते अदि अंतवंत कौन्तेय नादेषु समरमते बुध. The fools rush where the angels stay away. What is a fool? We see the bodily concept of life and we see the body and we get hooked to the body. Oh, what a beauty. Oh, what a richness. What a talent. But we are unable to understand that where this talent is coming from super soul and the prarabdha karma of the living entity in the previous life, and therefore is able to do such opulent work. So one should see that. That is called as Shastra Chakshu. Yes, someone can read the purport.
The living entity, by accepting his material existence, has become situated differently than in his spiritual existence. But if one understands that the Supreme is situated in his Paramatma manifestation everywhere, that is, if one can see the presence of Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living thing, he does not degrade himself by a destructive mentality, and he therefore gradually advances to the spiritual world. The mind is generally addicted to sense-gratifying processes, but when the mind turns to the super soul, one becomes advanced in spiritual understanding.
Yeah. So Karan Darkar was asking here, Prabhuji, you told everything has a soul and super. I can understand there's super soul, but how there is soul? Basically, anything you see matter, na? Like even the hill for that matter, hill is a living being. It comes in scripture that Lord Indra cut their wings, therefore the hill are stationary now. Similarly, if you take example of a chair and other things, right now they may not have the soul, but they were having it there. The combination of the tree before they were made into chair, they were in tree's body, and the tree had a soul. Okay, you may not see super soul in them, but at least you can see the. You may not see the soul in them. At least you can see the super soul in them. So, Stavara Jangama Deki na Deki Stara Murti Sarvatra Ho Ishta Devara Spurti. So that which is non-moving, they also have soul in terms of mountains, in terms of trees. They are non-moving, especially in terms of the living beings which are like chair, table, chair. At least in every atom, the Paramatma is present in them. So that we can see. Okay. Next shloka. So this shloka spoke about when we see super soul everywhere, we don't degrade, but we advance in spiritual life. प्रकृतयेव च कर्माणि क्रियमाणानि सर्वशः यः पश्यति तथात्मानम् अकर्तारं स पश्यति. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is creator of material nature, and sees that self does nothing, actually sees. That means whatever transformations are happening, that is happening because of the body. And what is happening in the self, soul and super soul are not involved at all. They are aloof. So this is another Shastra Krishna is giving here. Someone can read the purport?
Purport. This body is made by material nature under the direction of the super soul, and whatever activities are going on in respect to one's body are not his doing. Whatever one is supposed to do, either for happiness or for distress, one is forced to do because of the bodily constitution. The self, however, is outside all the bodily activities. This body is given according to one's past desires. To fulfill desires, one is given the body with which he acts accordingly. Practically speaking, the body is a machine designed by the Supreme Lord to fulfill desires. Because of desires, one is put into difficult circumstances to suffer or to enjoy. This transcendental vision of the living entity, when developed, makes one separate from bodily activities. One who has such a vision is an actual seer.
Yeah. So basically, because of our loading out tendency, we get a body, but it's actually the modes. It's actually the body which tries to demand. I want to eat this. I want to enjoy that. But the soul and the super soul are aloof. So therefore, one has to become very consciously aware of this vision by self-awareness, by understanding what is the consequences of what I'm doing. If I eat this, what will happen? If I do this, what will happen? So one has to observe very nicely, minutely, what the need of the body is. So one should do those things by which the body and soul can keep together. That means one should not overindulge. And one should not neglect also. Yukta hara vyarasya yukta karma stejasu. Yukta sapna bodhasya. That is a stage we should achieve. Then we can become seers. Yada bhuta pratak bhavam ekastam anupashyati tata eva cha vistaram brahma sampadyate tada. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. Basically, when he sees different bodies, rather than seeing the variety, oh, he is tall, he is stout, she is big, she is beautiful, she is ugly, rather than seeing that everything has soul. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmani Vyastini Sunichaya Sopakecha Pandita Samadarshana is able to see that the soul inside, but the soul has misused its free will because of that it has got different body. It's become animal, it has become a cat or a dog or a brahmana or a dog eater. But he's able to see that soul. Ekattam anupashyata, which Ishopanishad says. Someone can read this?
When one can see that the various bodies of living entities arise due to different desire of individual soul and do not actually belong to the soul itself, one actually sees in the material conception of life, we find someone a demigod, someone a human being, a dog, a cat, etc. This is material vision, not actual vision. This material differentiation is due to material conception of life. After the destruction of the material body, the spirit soul is one. The spirit soul, due to contact with material nature, gets different type of bodies. When one can see this, he attains spiritual vision. Thus, being freed from differentiation like man, animal, big, low, etc., one becomes purified in the consciousness and able to develop Krishna consciousness in his spiritual identity. How he then sees things will be explained in the next.
Yeah. So what is Shloka speaking about? How we can see that body is aloof? How we can cease to see the variety? By understanding that we get body not because of soul. Soul should not accept a body, but because of the desire to enjoy, we are getting body. So desire is the cause for the body. Therefore, desire is completely uh, tendency to enjoy, but the soul is aloof, super soul is aloof. So this is the cause of the variety. But the soul and super soul are both spiritual. So how the person sees? He sees in this vision. Ananditvan nirgunatvat parmatmayam anvaya sharirastopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyati. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled because it's ultimately the desire. It's Rajoguna, Tamoguna, which is coming from the desire to enjoy. That is the cause of the body. Yes. That because of that we keep on accepting the body. Somebody can read the purport?
A living entity appears to be born because of the birth of the material body, but actually the living entity is eternal. He is not born, and in spite of his being situated in a material body, he is transcendental and eternal. Thus, he cannot be destroyed. By nature, he is full of bliss. He does not engage himself in any material activity. Therefore, the activities performed due to his contact with material bodies do not entangle him.
Yes. So when you take birth, it's not that the soul takes birth, the body takes birth. And why? Because of the desire. Similarly, we can also exit this body by becoming ekatvam, one in desire with the Lord. What is that one in desire with the Lord? Bhakti. By giving the enjoying propensity and being by seeing this equality, the vision of eternity, we can also exit this body and get a spiritual body in the spiritual world. Yata sarvagatam saukshmyad akasham nopalipayate सर्वत्र वस्तितो देहे तदात्मा नोपलिप्यते. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similar, the soul situated in the Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. Example of sky is given, or air is given. Air and sky. Prabhupada gives the purport as air. Someone can read his purport?
The air enters into water, mud, food, and whatever else is there. Still, it does not mix with anything. Similarly, the living entity, even though situated in varieties of bodies, is aloof from them due to its subtle nature. Therefore, it is impossible to see with the material eye how the living entity is in contact with his body and how he is out of it after the destruction of the body. No one in science can ascertain this.
Impossible to see with the material how the living entity is in contact with the body and how is out. Like air, although is everywhere, but it doesn't mix with it. Similarly, soul, although in the body, it doesn't mix with the body. It is aloof. As soon as it takes birth, it takes the body. As soon as it dies, it again leaves the body. That is how it works. It is very mystical. Yata prakashayati eka krishnam lokam imam ravi kshetram kshetri tata krishnam prakashayati bharata. This analogy we use in our Discover Yourself first verse, first session. Consciousness is a symptom of soul. So that Prabhupada speaks here in this purport. So this that Prabhupada Radheshyam was taken from here in this slide. O son of Bharata, as sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity. One within the body illuminates the entire body by consciousness. When sun rises, the whole world is lit. When the soul is there, the whole body is lit with consciousness. Someone can read the purport? It's a little bigger purport, so we can read peacefully. This next, only one sloka is remaining now, so you can read peacefully this purport.
There are various theories regarding consciousness. Here in Bhagavad Gita, the example of sun and the sunshine is given. As the sun is situated in one place but is illuminating the whole universe, so a small particle of spirit soul, although situated in the heart of this body, is illuminating the whole body by consciousness. Thus, consciousness is the proof of the presence of the soul, as sunshine or light is the proof of the presence of the sun. When the soul is present in the body, there is consciousness all over the body. And as soon as the soul has passed from the body, there is no more consciousness. This can be easily understood by any intelligent man. Therefore, consciousness is not a product of combination of matter. It is the symptoms of the living entity. The consciousness of living entity, although qualitatively one with the supreme consciousness, is not supreme because the consciousness of one particular body does not share that of another body. But the super soul, which is situated in all bodies as the friend of the individual soul, is conscious of all the bodies. That is the difference between the supreme consciousness and individual consciousness.
Yes. So basically, like sun illuminates the world, the consciousness illuminates the body. And consciousness is symptom of the soul. It is not symptom of matter, like the modern scientists say. Last sloka of this chapter. Kshetra kshetrajnayorevam antaram jnana chakshusha bhuta prakriti moksham cha ye viduryanti te param. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from the bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. That means, like most of us who are trying to do sadhana bhakti, if you want to rise from sadhana bhakti to bhav bhakti, we need shastra chakshu, we need this jnana chakshu. And if we can do this, what will happen? Our attachment to matter will vanish, and our attachment to attraction to Krishna will increase, and that will lead bhava for Krishna. And therefore, Krishna is telling this jnana chakshu, one can get liberated from body in the material nature. Even while living in this body, we can become Jivan Mukta, attain to the supreme goal, that is back to Godhead. Someone can read this purport. Prabhupada summarizes the whole chapter now.
The purport of this 13th chapter is that one should know the distinction between the body, the owner of the body, and the super soul. One should recognize the process of liberation as described in verses 8 through 12. Then one can go on to the supreme destination. A faithful person should at first have some good association to hear of God and thus gradually become enlightened. If one accepts a spiritual master, one can learn to distinguish between matter and spirit, and that becomes the stepping stone for further spiritual realization. A spiritual master, by various instructions, teaches his students to get free from the material concept of life. For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, we find Krishna instructing Arjuna to free him from materialistic considerations. One can understand that this body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. The body's gross manifestation and the subtle manifestation is the mind and psychological effects, and the symptom of life are the interaction of these features. But over and above this, there is soul and there is also super soul. The soul and the super soul are two. This material world is working by the conjunction of the soul and the 24 material elements. One who can see the constitution of the whole material manifestation as this combination of the soul and material elements, and can also see the situation of the supreme soul, becomes eligible for transfer to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and for realization, and one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose.
13th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of nature, the enjoy and consciousness. So what was writing here? These things are meant for contemplation. It was writing here very clearly. The gross body is made of 24 elements, subtle body is made of mind and psychological effects and interaction. But the soul and super soul are aloof. So therefore, one has to become little self-aware. One has to see how one speaks, how one pursues, how one finds, how either one is able to finding fault or wants to control. But one should focus internally. One should become an introspective sage. Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. One should become a spiritual scientist. These things are meant for contemplation and for realization. And one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of a spiritual master. So, this is Jnana Chakshu which Krishna is giving us. If you can take this axe of knowledge, we can cut the tree of attachment. So, thank you so much. We have just concluded this chapter now. Initially, when we saw, we've spent the whole day with only 5 shlokas, then the second day with some 6 shlokas, and third day. But within 4 sessions, we completed, I think, 6 sessions we completed this chapter. Okay, any questions?
Prabhuji, I had a question. We discussed that the body, the activities that we're performing, the desires are different from the soul.
Yes.
But Prabhuji, desire is because of soul only, na? That we want to enjoy soul.
Okay, can you pull out shloka number 5? Yatcha, yatascha, yatvikari, yatascha yach. There we have already discussed it in detail. Text 5. Before this, after this, 661. 6161. 6 and 7. Okay, go down. Read here. No, 6. Where are you going? 8. You are going to 8th one. 6 simply 6 purport. You are going to 8th purport. Yeah. Go a little up. Go to the first paragraph. This paragraph. Yeah, read this.
From all authoritative statements of great sages, the Vedic hymns.
These are 24 elements, na? Go down. You can read from here if one makes an analytical study of the 24 subjects.
If one makes an analytical study of these 24 subjects, then he can very well understand the field of activity. Then there are desire, hatred, happiness, and distress, which are interactions representation of the 5 great elements in the gross body. The living symptoms represented by consciousness and convictions are the manifestation of the subtle body, mind, ego, and intelligence.
Yes.
These subtle elements are included within the field of activities.
Yes. So what was writing here?
Prabhuji, here it is stated that living symptoms represented by consciousness is manifestation of the subtle body.
Yeah. So therefore, what Bhaktivedanta Chakravarti says is the desire to serve Krishna, love Krishna, and all those things is coming from the soul. But the desire to enjoy matter, duality, hatred, what is being written here, happiness, distress, matra sparshas kaunteya, sukha dukkha, agama paino nitya, tamsa bharata. Those desires which is rising from the matter, they are of the coming from the subtle body. There are two interactions. Like as soon we immediately become infected, right? When you want to get up in the morning and somebody is taking bath and you want to go and take bath, and but the person is not coming and it's already 4:30 and you're knocking on the bathroom and this person is not coming, and what is that desire? The desire is coming from the soul or it's coming from the unexpected turn of events because of the material interaction of the subtle body.
Subtle body.
Yeah, so that is how it is. This is what Jnana means. So this is what when you speak about Jnana, like when Karun Darkosh asked if the matter has no soul or what. Again, in the long term, even if you come to Sankhya Yoga 11th canto, those who study other Vaishnavas, again Prabhupada made it very simplified. That means only living body has soul. Because Sankhya types and other scholars, I am searching, I'm not getting contradictory here. Every matter has soul, but it's very undeveloped consciousness. This is about Sankhya. That is how Sankhya people observe it. But for us, for a practical thing, for a practical understanding of scholars, at least we are not at that level of scholarship. We are hardly, when you see, we get bewildered by seeing anything very attractive. So, slowly, keep on reading Prabhupada books. Prabhupada knew everything and is shared here very clearly. What is that? This desire is coming from where? Subtle body. Interaction of the subtle body. Okay? Yes, bro?
Prabhuji, can we say that, Prabhuji, because subtle body is also matter and this gross body is also matter. So matter cannot have desire in one sense. So because of wrong identification of the soul, these desires are coming. It is coming from soul only, but because of its misidentification, it is developing such kind of desires. Can we say this, Prabhuji?
So you're greater than Prabhupada? What Prabhupada is writing?
No, Prabhuji. In some other context, I have read this because of misidentification.
Read again once again.
Yes, Prabhuji. No. Here I can understand what you are saying, that this is coming from subtle body. But Prabhuji, at some other place, Prabhupada says that because the soul is misidentifying with the body, it has contaminated desires. So in that place, he says the soul has contaminated desire.
So what is meaning of that?
Prabhuji, I understood the meaning that the desires are because of misidentification with the body. But
what is the meaning
Prabhuji,
of
the considering ourselves to be gross body or subtle body, or identifying with the destination, identifying with different designations. This is misidentification.
So what is it is material spiritual.
What, Prabhuji?
Is that designation material spiritual?
We are, yes, Prabhuji, it is material. We are identifying with material designations.
How can the soul has a material outlook? Soul is spiritual, no?
But Prabhupada says that it is thinking himself to be of this world. But the soul is only thinking, no, Prabhuji?
Thinking where it is coming for a conditioned soul, where thinking process starting?
From mind.
Then, so that is what Prabhupada is writing clearly here, na? So what Prabhupada is trying to tell here is the desire of hatred, the dvandva, duality. As you are telling, it is misidentifying the body. As soon as you understand that misidentifying the body means you are conditioned. Are you in spiritual misidentifying the body? Are you misidentifying the body in spiritual world? So in the spiritual world, there is Sachitananda body. So everything which is coming from that is pure devotional service. Swarupa is pure devotional service. But in the material world, what is happening at our level is also soul is having desire, intentionality. It has a free will, but it has a filter of a subtle body where all these things dvandva is happening. The subtle body is programmed. Again, I have to go back to the device, positive thinker course or device session where what is subtle body? Subtle body is a body of desires. That's what Raisham clearly says, na? Does Raisham say that that soul is the body of desires?
No, Guruji.
All the desires. Desires are there in subtle body. All the material desires we carry it is a storehouse is mind. Mind is like the hard disk. Intelligence is like a CPU, and the ego is like the identification. So therefore, all the resignations, basically the repeated cycle of birth and death is happening because of this subtle body. As soon as you chant Hare Krishna and get liberated, all the material designation are gone here. So where is the material desire then? It's not in the spiritual world. So, but because of our desire, we have got the body, and the Jivatma is trying to enjoy. Lording go tendency. Because of the lording go tendency, the Jivatma has been entrapped in the body.
Prabhuji, this lording over tendency is of Jivatma or of subtle body? It is of Jivatma. Prabhuji, Jivatma is really pure, so it cannot have it. Means he belongs to spiritual world. So because of the identification with matter only, it is coming. I think this is
when he wants to enjoy separately from Krishna. Moment he enjoys, then he gets this subtle body. So now you understood, na? So what you're telling is correct only. What basically see what Prabhupada is saying is very clearly telling here is that mind is the source of this hatred, distress, happiness. But mind cannot be independent. As in the dead body, will the mind react?
No, Prabhuji.
So the soul has to be there, right? But Prabhupada is trying to tell that this is not the quality of the soul. The quality of soul is Satchit Ananda. And as you're telling, you are giving a purport that okay, it's misidentifying with the body, therefore this mind is trying to. Okay, if you want to understand, that becomes easier for you to understand, you can take it in that way.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, one more thing that if this desire is coming from subtle body, but the action is performed by the soul.
Action is performed with the gross body.
But Prabhuji, gross body means without consciousness, gross body cannot perform anything, na? So.
You told action, na?
Action.
Intentionality is coming from the soul. Action is not coming from the soul.
But Prabhuji, we cannot act without the consciousness, na?
So consciousness is the symptom of the soul is consciousness.
Yes.
But action, you're telling action, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Action is coming from that.
Action is coming from the body, but means if soul is not there, will not be acting. So
yes.
acting.
Yes.
So Prabhuji means although this desire is coming from the subtle body, but the soul is engaging in those activities. If it is aloof from those desires, why it should act means that was the question. Why we act?
Why we act? Because we are programmed. We are not aware. We are not having Gnan Chakshu. And we are programmed by the mind. The mind, the intelligence, ego mechanism is taking it. Ego, ahankar. Attachment. I think Karun Darkosh also got to answer his answer now. Why? Because of attachment.
Okay, Bruce.
We give the example of this, na? This chariot, this passenger, this horses. There where the soul is sitting there. It's just simply it's an observer, right?
Yes.
But who is the driver? The intelligence, subtle body is the driver. So basically summing it up, how it is, soul, subtle body, gross body. The soul is having the subtle body which is filled with this body of desires, the intelligence mechanism, the ego mechanism. And most of the time, the subtle body hijacks the soul with its likes, dislikes, with its desire, hatred, interactions. So therefore, what the soul has to become is, it should use Dhyana Chakshu and understand this is not mine. This is not my priority. This is coming from the conditioning from the past life. Therefore, it should try to utilize it, to segregate it, and try to do what it wants to do. Now, the desire of the soul is not to enjoy unlimitedly. It wants Ananda, but it was Ananda with Krishna. But the craving which is happening, that it wants to eat more, it wants to enjoy sex, all these things is because of the craving which is coming from subtle body. Because of our, like Karuna Akashpur told, misidentification of the body. Am I complicating it or am I simplifying it?
Simplifying.
Understood, na?
Yes, yes.
So the body has a particular, it's a machine, and also subtle body is also a machine, which is running the whole thing. Therefore, the whole essence of this chapter is we have to become, we should use Jnana Chakshu and understand it's not that soul which needs all these things. Soul needs pure devotion service. But these needs of whatever are having, we accept it as okay, we need to eat food, we need eat, we have to eat 3 times a day. Okay, according to psychophysical nature, somebody wants to marry, somebody don't want to marry. Basic needs are there. But one goes on without much identifying with it, understanding that the soul is completely aloof. In terms of a soul doesn't need it. The body needs it. The subtle body needs it. Our sabhava and our vritti is there. That is what has to need it. Therefore, we have to consciously purify it. So we have to be consciously aware of it. We should not go on an ego trip. Soul desires, in terms of its desire is to be with Krishna. But when that goes through the medium of subtle body, that desire gets colored with 3 modes of nature. Okay, so as devotees, we have to love Krishna. But how come that we have arguments, we have all these things? Because of the interaction of the subtle body, conditioned nature, conditioned mind. Therefore, there's a lot of work to be done in terms of self-awareness. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, I don't know if I'm asking the right question or not. Prabhuji, in beginning, we are in spiritual world, right? So we have a desire to enjoy separately from God. So Prabhuji, there is not any three modes of nature and all these things. So Prabhuji, how we have come this like thought to enjoy differently from Lord?
It's like, small child which is with parents, it has just a free will. You can walk left, you can walk right. Similar, a soul, being tiny, has a free will. We are vulnerable. Lord's name is like morning I was hearing class by Prabhupada. Prabhupada saying Lord's name is Achyuta. Infallible. I was thinking Prabhupada will speak about infallible means he doesn't come, he doesn't. In this material world, like we get separated to attraction, he will not. Prabhupada told infallible means he doesn't fall from the spiritual world. That means we fall from the spiritual world because we are fallible, we are vulnerable. As souls, we are tiny part and parcel of Krishna, we are vulnerable. Therefore, we fall. We are not Achyuta, we are Chitta. That is the difference between us and God. That is that is how that is how we are manufactured. So we have the free will, and we are vulnerable as not the pure devotees are not vulnerable. Like Nitya Siddhas are not, but those who are not Nitya Siddhas, they can fall. Therefore, at our level, what we can do is we can now try to do sadhana. If we get Kripa Siddha, fine. If Sadhana Siddha, fine. Then we can get the Chakshu and we can again reinstate in our Siddha position. By sadhana, we can become Siddha and go back to God. Okay? Correct. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srila Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki Jai.